right, hello everybody. We are on chapter 8, intervals, and I'll be showing you how to write intervals and how to identify them. So the first thing to understand, there's two parts to intervals. We have what's called the size, and this is simply the distance between two notes based on the lines and spaces in the staff. And that way you just simply count line, space, line, space. That's how we get the basic size of an interval. And then we have quality. We have three different main types we'll be working with: perfect, major, and minor. And then from there we'll be looking at augmented and diminished as well at the end of this demo. So here's the list of types, the basic types we'll be working with. We have unison, which is just the same note played. And then fourth, fifth, and eighth. These are our perfect intervals. So unison, fourth, fifth, and eighth, they're all called perfect. They're never major or minor. We don't have a major fourth or a major fifth or eighth. They're always perfect. And these are actually intervals that were found throughout music history to have the most pure quality. And so like if you hear a lot of medieval music, like Gregorian chant, things like that, you hear a lot of fourth, fifth, and eighth, which is an octave. Then we have seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths. These are our major and minor intervals. They're never perfect. So these are kind of all the other ones that aren't the perfect. All right, so we're going to build intervals and understand them based on the major scale method in the book. And there's two different ways the book outlines how to calculate intervals, and we're doing the major scale method. So you can check that out on page 203. And so each time we build intervals, you'll need to think of the interval based on, the tonic. So for example, if you're given an F and you need to build an interval from an F, you'll need to think of the whole F scale to build the interval. And so I'm going to just outline the intervals that we have. So perfect unison would be F to F. So I don't need to write F again, but unison, easiest one, note stays the same. Then for our perfect intervals, we have a perfect fourth, and you can see it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our perfect fourth, and we write an uppercase P, number 4. You can probably see where this is going. So perfect fourth, then we go up one more. This is our perfect fifth. Go up 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then if we go all the way to the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, P8, perfect octave. I'll go ahead and put PU, it's funny, under the same note. If this F to the same F was played, you label it a PU, a perfect unison. All right, let's change the color and look at the major intervals. So from F to G, we have a major second. From F to A, we have a major third, simply counted 1, 2, 3, third. Then our other major intervals are a major sixth, so M6, major sixth, and it's getting, undo that, it's getting quite funny now. But that's okay, all the way to major 7, counting up from the F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you can internalize the scale degrees and how the intervals are related all back to the tonic. This will help you a lot in building intervals. So for example, let's just take it out of the key of F now and let's apply this. So if you were given these two intervals, you want to look at the tonic or the bottom note. So we're building intervals from the bottom up right now. If you're given this E flat here, you think, okay, E flat scale. E flat, the key of E flat has 3 flats. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. E flat to G is major third. Likewise, let's try one in a sharp key. If you're given a B, you're going to think B scale or B major, 5 sharps. And then you count the lines and spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, it's sharp. F sharp is in the key of B. 5 steps, so perfect fifth. All right, great. Next part. So now here's a little exercise on writing the interval if asked for a particular one. You'll be doing this in the homework. So let's go to my little note writer. I have the process here. So this is asking for a major seventh. So the first thing we want to do is do the size of the interval. Size is simply the lines and space distance between the root. So we want a 7. We're going to count 7 from the beginning. We start with 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right on the top of the staff. That gives us our 7th. Before we do anything with perfect or major, just get the 7th. Great. Then we're going to think of the major scale from the bottom note, from the A. So A major scale, the key has 3 sharps. So for perfect and major intervals, we follow the major scale construction exactly. So my 3 sharps are F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. That tells me, oh, for this to be a major 7th, I have to make it sharp because it's in the key of A. Let's try one in a flat key. So we've got this E flat, and we need a perfect 4th. So let's count 4 notes up from this E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Don't forget to count that bottom space underneath the staff as your 2nd. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to get a 4th. All right, then we're given an E flat, so I'm going to be thinking of E flat. The key of E flat has 3 flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. So to make this perfect, I would have to have this A be an A flat because it's in the key signature. Great, so it's very important that you get good at perfect and major based on the major scale. Because what we'll be doing next is permutating these intervals based on perfect and major. All right, so to get a minor interval, we're first going to build the major interval, and then we lower it by a half step. So that's how you get a minor interval. We're going to lower the major interval, so we have to build that first, and then build the major interval, then we're going to lower it an additional half step. So here we go. Major second. So we're first just going to get the size of the interval. So just count 1, 2. And I'm going to move this over and you'll see why. All right, in the key of B flat, we have two flats, B flat and E flat. So this C is not affected by the flats. So therefore, B flat to C is a major second based on the scale. This, however, is asking for a minor second. So we've got to lower this major second. We're going to lower it by putting a flat to make it a minor second. So we lowered the major interval from B flat to C to B flat to C flat. And keep in mind, perfect intervals can't be minor, so we don't even bother with doing minor intervals based on the perfect. So that's kind of nice. That limits our options. All right, minor 6. So first, let's get the size. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Counted each line and space up from the bottom, starting with 1. And let's build the major interval first. So let's build a major 6 so that we can be sure how we're altering it to a minor. Bottom note's A. A has 3 sharps, so F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So in the key signature, we definitely need to make this F sharp to create a 6th. All right, so that's our major 6, but this example is asking for a minor 6. So we're going to lower this, and we can simply lower it by not having a sharp. Keep in mind, if you, since we're not using key signatures in any of the homework here, you don't have to put a natural sign on this one. All right, let's take a look at now augmented and diminished. So when you augment something, just like the name says, augmentation is making something bigger or longer or wider. So in this case, we're raising the note by, or the interval, by a half step. So we're going to follow the same process that we did before. We have an A flat and here in the bottom, and they want an augmented 6th. So we're going to start by, let's just get our 6th interval. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to think of the key signature of A flat. That's our bottom note. A flat has 4 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Doesn't affect the F. So here we have a major 6th. To augment this, make it bigger, we raise the top note by a half step. So we're going to sharp the top. Let's try another one. And this one we're going to try in what we call a melodic interval. You'll see in the book we have both what's called harmonic, meaning just means harmony. So the intervals sounding together, or you can have a melodic interval, one note passing to another. We calculate intervals the same way, whether they sound together or whether they're written one after the other. So I thought I would just show that for clarification. So we're going to do, as if this was a melody, an augmented 4th. So we'll start with the major interval, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Key of G has only 1 sharp, so here we have a perfect 4th. Right? Remember, 4ths are perfect. And now we're going to raise it a half step to make it augmented. So we're going to put a sharp to make an augmented 4th. Let's do an augmented 2nd at the bottom. So we're going to count 1, 2, get our 2nd. And this is going to need a little space because probably going to have to alter it. The key of A has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So the B is not affected. So here we have a major 2nd. But this is asking for an augmented 2nd. So we've got to raise the 2nd note 1/2 step with an accidental. There's our augmented second. All right, diminished is simply the opposite. We lower the note additionally after we build our perfect and major intervals. The perfect intervals, there's one catch. So if you're making a perfect interval diminished, you only lower it by a 1/2 step. If you're trying to diminish from a major interval, you've got to lower it by 2 1/2 steps to make it diminished. So diminished is basically one level lower than minor. So it goes major, minor, then diminished in the lowering of the 1/2 step. Let's show you an example. So let's do the first one. We're going to make a diminished fifth. So fifth is a perfect interval. So we'll just need to build a perfect fifth and only lower it by a 1/2 step. So let's get our counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the key of E, we have F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and D sharp. The B is not affected. We don't need to do anything to it. But now we're going to lower it by a 1/2 step to make it a diminished fifth. So we just add a flat. Let's do the diminished seventh. So now let's start with a major interval, and then we'll have to lower it 2 1/2 steps, right? Because sevenths are major or minor, not perfect. All right, so let's start first with counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 5, 6, 7. We go right in the space. And the key of A has F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So our top note needs to follow the key signature to make it a major seventh. So A to G sharp, major seventh. So this one, we have to lower it by 2 steps. So if we take the sharp away, which lowers the note, A to G, that becomes a minor seventh. But this is asking for diminished, so we have to lower it a second time. So this is where lowering by another 1/2 step, we're going to make it flat now to get our diminished seventh. All right, great. So the homework for this is workbook page 226, letters C and D, and then page 229, letter A only. You'll be working with building all of these intervals.